Yeah. Hello, this is the person-centered planning review. This is not the full training. The full training was in March. If you need the full training, that will be in July, probably the second week of July, that Friday. It has yet to be scheduled. This is just to touch base with the cohort, answer any questions that need to be asked, and go over some information that needs to be discussed and reviewed. Monique, you had a question.
Yes, so as I was telling you earlier, a lot of the things that I'm finding out is because I made mistakes, turn them in, and then you give me the feedback with information on how to address those things. One of the questions that I had most recently was in the who's responsible part of the PCP.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so originally we had been including all of the team members and the medication manager is part of the who's responsible and the consumer, correct?
Right.
So once we start to talk about what we're to do, I noticed recently that you have excluded what the consumer does. If they're responsible, why are we excluding what they do in that section?
All right, we're gonna let Melody answer this question because she's compliance.
Because basically you're supposed to develop a plan if they're not actually reaching their goal. So say for instance, they've got a housing goal and they're not reaching that goal. There's all these barriers in place. That should be a place where us as providers are developing a plan to actually execute the ability to achieve the goal or work towards that goal. Does that make a little bit of sense?
That makes sense. That makes sense. I was just wondering why in the past, but I mean, I've been working with CST for the past year. We have updated it that way, and now there was a change.
Right.
I was just trying to figure out what the change was.
Well,
To
here's
be
the thing.
honest,
When you do that
go ahead.
person-centered plan and Alliance gets it, for instance, right? And we put on there everything the consumer's doing, but very little about what we're doing. What does it look like to them that the consumers, doing everything independently, and we really ain't doing that much. So therefore, if they've got a goal of substance abuse, okay, we need to be very detailed. More is better than less. I know it's time consuming, but it's very intricate that PCP matches them notes that are also documented in WellSky. Because a lot of times you'll get notes in WellSky that talks about the consumer living at certain places or the consumer completed SAOP and completed OPT or whatever. But then when you go to the PCP, it reflects something totally different. It's not correlating. And it don't reflect as much what CST or OPT or TMS is doing to ensure that the consumer overcomes those barriers.
Okay, thank you for the clarification.
Yeah,
With
and if you
that,
need anything, Monique, just email me or I know Felipe, and I'll be glad to help.
Okay.
thank you, Melody, for breaking that down. And just to expand on what Melody said, Monique, is not that that shouldn't be in there. It's just that there's an overemphasis on it on many PCPs where the emphasis should be on the providers. Sometimes we put in there that the person will comply. No, that's a mandate. That's not something we should never use that word. When we say that they should comply with UDS screenings and random and all that, we actually have to take that sentence out. That can no longer be used. Alliance hit us on that. We can't mandate that. We can't ensure that they comply. Plus, that particular thing is protected by a federal ordinance called CR 42A, I believe.
Mhm.
Which means that should even if that was a goal, that has to be on a whole separate goal, and it has to be worded in a whole different way.
I would just suggest the organization work, but isn't the hallmark.
Somebody talking, or is that TV? Okay. So the things that we've been dinged on are the following, and then we could talk about this. Like, this is an open forum. This is everybody is a contributor to this. Everybody has a piece of the puzzle. You know what I'm saying? We learn together. You know what I'm saying? No one's a definitive expert per se. We are all experts in a way. QM identified a need for providers to supply more information in the what people like and admire about section, and to make sure that the members' input is reflected across all domains of the person's life. A lot of times we have a one-line update or a two-line update. We have to encompass the whole person regarding if we admire about them regarding, whatever domains they are in, the person. Putting one line, two lines is not even capturing what we've seen in 90 days. Or if that's all we saw in 90 days, did we really, as a team, do what we need to do regarding interacting with this team when we ate up 192 units or 632 units? Does that make sense? We should know more about that client. We should see more admirable traits. We should see more things that we like about that client or that other people like about that client, especially if they're in their second authorization and we see them making some progress towards their goals regarding whatever particular domain. They may be more goal-oriented. They may be more focused. They may be taking their medication better. All these things are things that we admire as a team because they're making progress. So we don't want them to be stuck.
Yeah, but they
Hey, Felipe, I have a question about that. So a lot of times when I do the PCPs, I'm asking the client those questions because I saw that that's what I was supposed to do. So a lot of times the client is giving me those one-line sentences about themselves. Like, so what do people admire about you? This is what you stated previously. Is there anything else that I could add? And then at that time, they'll give me that one line. And you know what I mean? So I'm being truthful based on what they're saying. But if I should add a little bit more based on my experience with the client, then I definitely could do that.
Yes, Tavon, that's it. You put their stuff in their quotes. Everything else, is the team's observation, not just Tavon's observations, but Diane's, Jaleesa's, and the other person on your team. I can't remember their name right now. And all this should be done at an ATM, correct? ATM every 30 days, at very minimum, an ATM at the authorization time period. At an ATM, all people should be at the table. Everybody can have an input regarding what they've seen that's admirable or likable. And even if we don't like it, even if we don't admire it, there's some good qualities about that person because we got to be person-centered. Even if they're a despicable drug dealer and they slanging, we can say they're good at budgeting. We can say they're good at logistics. We can say they're good at, coordinating distribution to their people. You know what I'm saying? I seen a comedy show where they just talk about like these girls, they were prostitutes when they were trying to recovery, and the case manager was saying all the admirable qualities that you can flip it on the other side, regarding being sociable, good customer service, et cetera, et cetera. So just look at the instances and just flip it, give it that rosy, shiny, clean on it. What can we pick from what we're seeing that would be a good quality to put into that section of the PCP? Any questions or any exploration? You might want to say something else regarding that? All right. Thank you, Tavon, for that question. And thank you, Monique, for bringing that point up earlier. And then how best to support. This should reflect multiple ways to support the person from several resources, including information on what was worked on in the past and why. Sometimes we just leave what Mary Hannah, because Mary Hannah does our initial PCP, right? We just leave what she has, where she gets it from. She derives it from the assessment, which may or may not be adequately. Me and Robin have discussed assessments on multiple occasions regarding how incomplete they might have been. Mary Hannah can only pick from what she needs to pick, where she can pick from that, and most of it's going to follow a template that she utilizes. That's why it's important for us to paint the best picture, the most accurate, detailed picture of the client regarding these things. So how best to support, look at the domains. If it's a legal thing, boom, 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 boom. What can they do to address their legal issue? If it's a vocational issue, what can we boom, 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 boom to address that vocational issue, that medical issue, that social issue? Try to hit all those domains. Domains are very important. As you notice, the DLA 20 and the CST monthly survey heavily relies on that domain review, those domain updates. The what's working and what's not working section should have multiple examples of what is working and multiple examples of what is not working, as well as details as to why key thing, why those activities and supports are not working. That's where the detail comes from. Because we could say all day that in 90 days, those same things aren't working. But we should have observations in those 90 days of why we see why those things are not working, or just the flip, why those things are working. What did the team do to assist the client in overcoming that? Remember, a lot of, and I hate to say that, I know I feel like, oh, wait, we don't get paid for this. A lot of the work is on you. We have to show the evidence-based practices in order to help that client get there. And even if they don't adhere to them and stick to them and use them for their own strategies, we have to implement them and at least show the effort that we put into it. And that needs to be reflected in that section of the PCP as well.
And so the flip side of that, we also put down what they're not doing.
Huh?
I said the flip side of what you just said is that we are about what's not working. They're not following treatment recommendations.
Right. Yeah, you just expand on it.
Yeah.
When I see a PCP, not me, I'm just saying in general, let's say I'm just a UM, a cat who never even seen this person, know about this person. I should be able to close my eyes and see that person. Let me give you a case example. We had a new TL who didn't know how to do the SARS yet because she just came into the fold. So between Al and myself, we said, okay, we could do them. But the notes, even the notes themselves, didn't have enough information for us to see the client in order to make an adequate service authorization. The notes didn't have enough information for me to see the client, or the PCP didn't have enough information in it in order for me to see the client and in order to get an accurate snapshot in the service authorization request. We have to be able to see the person through your details, through your explanations, through your breakdowns of these areas. So that's the CCP, that's the PCP, that's your documentation of the sessions that you're in. And then the long range outcome should be written in the member's words. For example, QM notes that take my medication and attend my appointments are not typically goals desired by the member. Include examples that reflect the member's broader life goals, on their words. They put, so who was I talking to earlier? I think it was Taji. So, use their goal, as the earmarks, and then break it down to make it more evidence-based in order to how to assist them, but to modify in such a way that it reflects their true goals. I mean, let's just be honest. How many of us have had clients that have no desire to quit their use of drugs? Why would we put mandated UDSs in compliance with that? One, we should never even have that in there anyway. If they haven't even identified that goal, when their primary whole focus is, I just want a house if I can turn it into a trap house. You know what I'm saying?
That's what. So, we've been here. I don't know about everybody else, but I've been here long enough that the training that we got coming in the door wasn't adequate. For us to develop the PCPs, for us to
and that's fine. But Robin, you and I came from Freedom House. We know how to do PCPs.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, a lot of people coming through the door, Felipe, they don't get the training.
That's true.
They don't get it.
That's true.
So this is what you're doing. That's key, and it should be all the way across the board for everybody.
That's true. Well, we put a mass email out to all clinicians. Catherine said she wasn't on that particular one. So apparently that CST all group needs to be modified to add her in. Sorry about that, Catherine.
Yeah.
But, like I said, the people here, the majority of us know how to update the PCP appropriately. Monique and I had a little itty bitty misunderstanding based on definition, what should be and should be. And we can have that misunderstanding because she's right. I was wrong. And I can admit that, you know what I'm saying? But we just have to best bet comply with Alliance because honestly, we actually get, depending on who reviews our authorization, we get different information all the time. You know what I'm saying? When we go to care coordinators, we get different information. If we get Sue's going to tell us one thing, Amy's going to tell us something else. We can never get a clear-cut answer. That's why I asked for the tool or the rubric so we have a definitive answer. So that's all I got to say about the first page. Any questions about the first page? So now I'm gonna share my screen. I'm gonna open up I'm just gonna pull a client. Because I already have it open, Michael Collins Bailey. That's cool, Monique? won't have nothing to say about it because I already approved it. So, but let me see if it allow me to be the this thing is so confusing. I am so terrible at this thing. Hold on. Let's make this big. Hold on, y'all. I'm sorry. I'm using too many screens. Share screen. Use that screen. I don't need to just optimize for video clip. Let's share. Compliance is shared. Can y'all see that?
Yes.
Okay. Now this is the hiccup for a lot of people, right? I don't usually hit y'all too much on the first page. If I hit y'all, it's always about the updates. But we're gonna go through the first page real quick anyway, okay? This PCP expires on what? 1/26/2022, right?
Mm-hmm.
So this area right here, you see this area I'm highlighting?
Mm-hmm.
That should have been the day that the PCP was created per se. So we'll say 1/27/2021. So what does that mean? That never changes, right?
Okay.
This part right here, the expiration date, never changes. Only parts of this change is, boom, the effective date of your update. And then, you don't even really have to put nothing here, but it's helpful for us to see it when we're looking at the documents tab or the PCP tab. And then, put the update there. Any questions about that part so far?
No, sir.
Okay. Can everybody see the screen? Yes? No? Maybe so?
I see it.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So then we go down to the what people like and what people admire about section. Now, as I just said earlier, we have to expand. We have to see a clearer picture of who that person is over 90 days, especially if we're at an ATM. Every person should have seen or should have noted or should be able to give a snapshot of that person. Like it was noted earlier, the person said, like Tavon said, they give us short answers, and that's fine. I mean, that's understandable. These people have what? Severe and persistent mental health disorders in a lot of cases, right? These people may have low self-esteem. They may not see themselves in a good light. You know what I'm saying? Years and years of the stigma being associated with their mental health or their addiction disorder. They can't see their good qualities, or they can't look at the strengths that might be found in the qualities that we see with them day to day, if that makes any sense. So get their quote, get their information, boom, put it in a quote, but then expand on it. If you know that they bust their ass every day to provide 3 meals for their children, then boom, one, their children eat up that food. I mean, I have picky, finicky kids, so they're not always going to eat what we cook, but their kids are eating up the food. So you could say off the top, just from your observation, she's a good cook, she's a caring cook, she's a family-oriented person that sticks to a schedule or an agenda. I mean, boom, 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 boom. A lot of these attributes, these observations, you can catch in 30 days, but we're talking about a 90-day snapshot of your interactions with this client, right? So Monique gave us an update, but she gave us the update that, that we just talked about earlier, that it should be more expansive. We went ahead and approved this because we haven't had this training yet, and at least there's an update there. Update should always leave the old information intact and always date stamp the new information. Does that make sense?
Yes, sir.
What we like to see is update, date or date, update, colon, then the information. Just a little cleaner, just for when Alliance is looking at the PCP, boom, they can just zoom in on it. Oh, this is new information. Then what's important to, the same thing. Name what's important to them as it relates to multiple domains, multiple aspects of their lives. I think Monique did a very good job of this update. But like I said, we could have expanded more if this was an ATM. Monique, was this an ATM or was this one-on-one?
It's ATM.
Okay, so at the ATM, Tiandria said something. Greta could have said something. Monique could have said something. If Al was there, he could have said something. Or if this was when Chelsea was here, she could have said something. Then that would have made it more encompassed of what the things that they notice of what's important to them based on their interactions with the client, right? If the person has, DSS involvement, if they have DJJ involvement, get the information from their probation officer, their social worker, or if they're working with their medical provider in some cases. And when you have an ATM, always make sure you invite these key players to the table. If they come, they come. They don't, they don't. but just make the effort to invite them to the table. One of the biggest complaints, one of the biggest dings we get is our interactions with DSS, that we do not provide adequate communication or documentation regarding the clients that we have mutually, if that makes sense. And I'll be honest, I'm guilty of it as well, as I have DSS clients in parenting classes. I don't necessarily give them the parenting class updates in a timely manner because I just don't think about it. You know what I'm saying? And I don't necessarily do ATMs with my parenting class clients, but I need to coordinate with the person who does so that we can get them that information. So we have a bigger picture of the services that's impacting, as well as a bigger picture of our observations of what's important to, what people like and admire about, how best to support, and what's working and what's not working. And like I said, we already talked about the other things about that. Like for this one, how best to support, there was no update. Apparently, the things are still in place, but we can expand on that. So because we have to have some kind of interest, and I expanded just a little bit, just saying we'll use IMR, we use Samson Matrix. As we have to use the IMR anyway, and he had a substance abuse issue that he's still addressing. We're going to use Samson Matrix 9 times out of 10, right, Monique?
Right.
And then what's working, what's not working. On 322 it was that one, and then on 622 is this one. Just expanding. What's working is he's living in the transitional housing for the time being, but we can expand on that. Applied for housing, filled out this many applications. On a waiting list for this one and this one and this one. Just being able to expand so they can clear a picture. Like, let's say that person moved to a different county that we didn't service, but they would want a copy of our PCP. They need to have a clear snapshot, a clear understanding of the person they're working with. 1, so they don't repeat information. 2, so they can meet that person right where they're at in order to get them to where they need to get. Any questions? Melody, you got any input on that?
Yeah,
Like Melody here, because Melody's compliance. See, I'm quality assurance compliance. She's compliance.
And like Felipe said, it's majorly important that everything reflects a snapshot of that consumer, almost like reading a book. So like you start at chapter 1, which is your introduction. And when you move through chapters, that needs to be implemented in this PCP document. That way, say for instance, you're out, you change positions, whatever, whoever else comes into the work with us or work with that consumer, they can get a snapshot. Okay, this is what the consumer's barriers are. This is what their goals are. And like when you're at that ATM meeting, like Felipe stated, if you are all there, these consumers are very one sentence, believe me. I mean, you ask them something and it's just very short. I mean, I even had one that said I wanted to be a millionaire, so that's when sometimes you have to go and say, well, I noticed that you are able to organize stuff in your pantry, or I noticed that you keep your house clean, or I noticed that you're very well groomed, or whatever. Them are little things that you can put in there as well as your team members might notice. One day they might go there and they might be very helpful for their neighbor, taking in their neighbor's groceries. Like, these are little things that when you ask that consumer that question, they're not going to come out and say all that. But it's things that we notice that we need to document and then re-implement to the consumer. Hey, I saw you doing this, or I see that. And that way the consumer might start thinking or might feel better about themselves.
Mm-hmm. And they should have a work. Oh, I messed that up. I'm sorry. And thank you, Melody. Thank you for that breakdown. Because ultimately it's their plan. It's a reflection of them, where they're at. It's a living document. That's what we call it. Of the progress that person's made, of the snapshot of the things that person is working with. And I love the metaphor that Melody used regarding a book and chapters. That's perfect. Because like I said, if somebody else, even if it's just the UM themselves, they can see the person. So they'll be more apt to give us what we need regarding authorization units. They'll be more apt to understand why we're asking for more time in order to help them, to assist them. Any questions, comments from the gallery? Now, come on now, y'all my go hit, y'all my getters, y'all my hitters. Y'all actually are pretty good at doing these things. It's just a refresher. And of course, because other people who should be here aren't here, I need you to share this information with your peers, especially if you see, especially at an ATM, when they're at an ATM and they can understand the process. Now we're just gonna look at one goal because
I do got a question on the
I
goal.
don't want to beat nobody in the head with all this information, you know what I'm saying? But go ahead, Anthony.
Okay, when we're doing the short range goal, I noticed in your training, it says the frequency free text. So we implement that when we updating the PCP, right?
Yes.
So they pursuing housing 630 and and the other 192 units, right? For 90 days.
They're just a
So
regular client with mental health and addiction issues with no housing issues. It's usually 190, but these units aren't solid. They titrate. So the service and frequency, you don't have to focus on as much because honestly, even what I submit, Aaron modifies based on their previous authorization. Like they might have got 630 last time, so she'll knock them down to 480. Then the next time she might knock them down to 320.
So we shouldn't implement nothing in there?
No, I mean, I would say 9 times out of 10, if it's not the initial, if it's the initial re-off, yeah, just do what it do. It's 630 and 90 for housing, 192 and 90 for regular. Okay. After that, I would just leave it because after that, that's when Aaron's going to start doing her thing. Okay then.
All right, thank you.
That's the least of my concerns. My concerns is the actual goal updates.
Right.
That's an easy fix. All I got to do is click.
I will say this: if they do have a housing goal, and you are requesting TCLI supports and applying for TCLI supports on that service and frequency with the housing goal, be certain to add TCLI.
Oh, that's if they in TCLI, right? Or we're applying for it.
If you're even applying for them to get TCLI and you're doing the referral, put TCLI in there. If they get denied, update your goal, like Felipe's fixing to tell you, and then you can remove the TCLI if they're not in it. But
so can we update the goal like without having the PCP being the time to update it? Like if say they get denied, right? We done did the PCP and TCLI. So can we just go back in there and just take it out, or should we wait?
You can update at any given time, but then you'll have to do a goal review update at that time.
Right. You'll update the goal and you'll put revision, and then you'll just put in there consumer CST or OPT, whatever, applied for TCLI benefits on behalf of the consumer. Consumer was not approved through TCLI services for housing supports. Billy Bob is seeking different housing, and you can list whatever else, you know what I mean? But it's imperative because here's the thing. If this consumer gets approved for TCLI and it's not incorporated in the PCP, then you're going to have to go and redo this stuff and integrate TCLI services into the PCP before TCLI will move forward. Does that make sense?
Yeah, yes.
Okay.
Just, now for the goal, a lot of times we see the number 120, but remember our authorization is only 90 days. So we should use per 90 days. Any questions about that? Okay, who's responsible? We're going to leave the client in there, but we're just not going to make this in the how-to section. We're just not going to let the client do a lot per se. But remember, in this case, we have the right provider. But 9 times out of 10, I'm going to get one that says Dr. Trost. Now, let me ask you this. Does any of your clients see Dr. Trost?
No, he doesn't do the med management.
Right. So why is he on anybody's PCP or CC?
He on all of them when we update him. I guess he was doing it before.
No, because before she came on board, we were seeing Dr. Trost.
Right, that's what I was, because he's on every last one of them that I've been updating.
Yeah, because he's the medical director, Felipe. Before Miss Patterson came on board, that's who they was putting down as the doctor.
But ain't they doing it in the original one? Because
Yeah.
I
Because
seen in
Dr.
the original one where we just signed, just get declined. At the bottom, it got Dr. Trost.
Because I'm saying that the Miss Patterson wasn't on board.
It does, Felipe. Whoever does the CCA, the clinical
I know.
assessment out the gate, and they develop the original PCP,
I know.
they're filling in this section except for the team members.
I know. I know.
Yeah, so
But what
Yeah.
it is, we just need to update it with the correct providers, is what I'm saying. And if he's not the provider,
That's
pick
right.
out a medicine.
Now she's on board. We could add her there, or
If it's
Dr.
her, but it might be
Is that
somebody else.
Dr.
It might be
Patterson?
Diane
Or Dr.
Campbell
or Dr.
If-
Ball.
or Diane Campbell, or if it's a whole
Both
nother
lines are saying
provider or
Dr.
agency.
Patterson.
Dr. Patterson is the black lady in the back with the glasses.
So Diane can be on there as a med management person.
Is she psychiatrist?
No,
No.
she's a no. She does the,
Whoever's the psychiatrist is the person you want to list there.
and that's Miss Patterson.
And if they don't see any of our providers, they don't put that on there.
Exactly. Well, then that's when we need to ask them who their provider is, and have
Yeah, well, you should know that by just remember when you do the CCP update, what are you
Right.
supposed to obtain from the pharmacy?
the med.
And the med list has who supplies their medications.
Exactly.
Now I have
When
ran
it was
into
supplied.
this is Catherine. I have
Huh?
ran into some problems where I contacted, and I'm gonna give you an example, CVS and Burlington, and they wouldn't give me the person's medication list because
Well, zoom out. And that's fine. You can have the client themselves can obtain it, or you can go with the client to obtain it. If you're seeing the client, if you're working with the client, if the client goes to pick up their medicine, they can pick it up.
Excuse me, I'm sorry, but I have been.
Yeah, I was talking, man. Hold on now.
Yeah, but with
I'm
that
joking. Go
pharmacy,
ahead.
I just, what I learned the last 2 days, I just called the pharmacy with them, and they'll email it, or they'll fax it to the office, or I have it emailed to me, things like
Yeah,
that.
but that's not always going to be the case. Walgreens is going to give us the biggest headache. So 9 times out of 10, the client got to get it themselves, or you go with the client to get it.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I called Walgreens yesterday. It was a little difficult,
Yeah.
with them, but we did get an email from Walgreens.
Okay. And because the medication list will not only show their psychiatry, but it would, let's say they see multiple providers. It will have all the providers that person sees. Monique's team does an excellent job of getting that information and putting down the providers in the breakdown. Some people see 3 and 4 providers. So we need to see 3 and 4 providers because one, we want to see a snapshot of what the medications are, but not only that, if the providers aren't even talking to each other, they may be giving the client something and the psychiatrist is giving them something else, and boom, it's going to cause medical complications. And we may not know it because we're not medical providers per se, but the UM, they will know. If you notice that when we get our response back regarding the next authorization, their medical director will see it and say something about it, right? Okay, we just say that you agree. And then how to support. This is a good example of how to support, but it can be so much more expansive regarding this goal because there's so many other ways to support this client regarding this goal. But then not only that, there's going to be cases in which we already done something or that client has already completed that. Boom, that information isn't going there no more. Delete. You know what I'm saying? No, now I'm confused. Do we delete or do we just update somewhere else?
And if it's achieved, take it out.
you update.
Yeah.
I
Go
think
ahead.
you leave it, and just the same as on the first page, you put date, revision, and you can go in and add the blurb. You know what I mean?
Okay. I do.
Because that way it'll show, okay, here's what we started with, here's
This is
what
where we
we're
at
working
now.
with now.
Okay, that's a good point.
I mean,
Yeah, 'cause
like
that would make
I say,
sense.
I know it's time consuming, but more is better.
So,
And
so,
once
so,
you get in a
Amanda, you
habit,
saying, excuse me, I'm just asking you, you saying put in there update and put the date or and revision, or just put revision and put the date and just leave the other ones up there?
Right, I would not delete it because this is a living document, like Felipe said. If it's a living document and Alliance has the previous PCP and then they get a re-auth, they're not going to match. Now, when you have to generate a new PCP, whatever you've already done, you wouldn't include in the new one. Does that make sense?
Well, if they don't achieve that goal, you would, wouldn't you?
Yeah, if they don't achieve the goal, you would, but if they've
That's
achieved it,
Right.
then
I'm
you
saying
wouldn't.
if they don't achieve that goal, that everybody needs to be on board, that they still need to add that goal back into that PCP.
Right.
Okay. Everybody agree? Everybody got that? All right. And then we look at the goal review date. You know, the target date is 1/26/22, so next January. And then we have the goal itself. Bailey's this is what Bailey doing. You know, so we could have expanded more about this particular goal. The goal was what? The goal is, or maybe not, depending. The goal is complying with legal requirements, securing independent housing and paying all bills, making minimal progress in the goal, continue to pay his pills on time. Pills or bills? Dyslexia. Okay. He has moved in with his mother, reports having a desire to move in with it, and so then maybe we can be expansive on this. Say the type of bills that he pays. Talk about how he's complying with things. Like, is he? Well, hold on. We say he's complying. What did we say? What's the goal? Complying independent housing. See, then we have to say, and then how is he not complying with the legal requirements? Well, we know that he's consuming substances, but what else is he not doing? He's also unsupervised. So, I mean, what is he supposed to be doing if he's unsupervised? Go into a little bit of detail so we can see a good snapshot of why Bailey is making minimal progress. And then, of course, say what CST would do to assist him. I'll be honest, I never liked that part being in there. I just thought it was crazy. But that's a B and D thing, and I guess, yes, whatever. But we should definitely have a better snapshot, a more expansive snapshot. And when we have an ATM, that's the whole point of the ATM. We have all key players at the table to give information as it relates to that goal. Monique, how many people was at the ATM?
Well, at the time we only have 3 team members right now, so just 3 of us.
So the 3 of y'all and the consumer, right?
Right.
Okay. So, everybody could have gave a piece of it because, Tiandria might see stuff that, or, note things that he's not making in progress. Greta might note things that's not making progress based on her interactions, her strategies, your strategies, your interactions, But, it does give enough snapshot in order to get approved. But like I said, we want to be more expansive. Don't really want to go into the other ones because I think you get the general gist of what I'm saying.
Also, Felipe, I just want to note that I have this PCP pulled up as you're speaking, so I'm going back correcting the typos.
Well, thank you. It's not that major, but I'm glad you can see them because I know I'm looking at it on this little itty bitty baby screen, my portal, and so I can't see it as good on that screen. I can definitely see them on this screen. So then, we look at the action plans, we update them accordingly. Y'all doing a pretty good job with the updates, but like I say, just to be more expansive so we have a clearer snapshot of that person. Of course, the client signs first after they agree with their goals, then the clinician, the main QP. But if it's an ATM and everybody's at the table, they need to sign this section. Signatures of other members participating in the development of the plan. So Nikki should have been listed there. Greta should have been listed there. And if the team lead was there, that person should have been listed there. Does that make sense?
Okay, yeah, that's new information, and I'll pass that on because we've never been told that before. Before we signed the ATM sheet, but we all signed the PCP.
Right. But remember, the UM doesn't get the ATM sheet; they get the PCP.
Okay. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Thank you for the information because we've never done it like that before, but that's information that I'll take back to my team. Also, on going back to one of the goals, you said that we should not be including complying with drug screens or UDSs. We should not be having that in there.
Let's go to the goal. Which goal has that in there?
Because I have that. I still have that on one of the goals. I'm pretty sure I still have that. Yeah, go back to the second one.
I would take the word compliant out. They said don't use the word compliant because that shows a mandate from us, an aggressive tone from us, according to the UM in the last care coordinator meeting. I
Okay.
would say by learning, maybe learning and teaching, by learning strategies about, relapse prevention, maybe harm reduction, something to that effect.
Okay, I'll change. I'll update that as well.
Okay. And that's this. Now it's time for questions and answers. And I need you to, whatever's on your mind, I need you to spit it out because I'm gonna really be looking at you as the gatekeepers. If I get a PCP from y'all, I'm gonna expect it to be 100. You know what I'm saying?
So listen,
I don't know if we are going over the CCP, Felipe,
No, but I guess we could.
because I know that I think that was the last one that I submitted. I needed to make some changes to that.
Who's speaking?
This is Tavon.
Okay. We have to treat it like, some people can't see, and we have to rely that when someone speaks, we don't necessarily see their icon. We have to use our words in and out. I'm just playing. I'm in this app called Clubhouse, and it's like a protocol we use, like regarding that. So we're gonna open up somebody's. I would just use the same person we just did. Yeah, let's just do that. And I gotta let me see if I can remember how to share that screen because y'all gonna see that? Nope, it won't be shown until I share it. So stop share, and then new share. The new share. Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? All right. Okay, your question, Tavon?
So on the very last page, I just wanted you just to kind of touch on the changes
Okay, I'm
they're
gonna start from
looking.
here. Let me just start from here. Just give a quick update.
Okay.
Okay. So the date of last revision is the date that the PCP is signed. Does that make sense? So the PCP signed and the date of the last revision, those should be hand in hand. What else? What else do I notice sometimes? This when you do the medication name, the dosage, the frequency, the date. That's very good job, Monique. Most people don't even do that part. The prescribing person and the pharmacy. It's helpful if you know the pharmacy actual store name. Girlies doesn't have a store name, so that's appropriate. But let's say Walgreens. Walgreens has 100 billion stores. So Walgreens 1483 would show us, oh, that's the one on Fayetteville Street, right? And then this, if they have a guardian, legal guardian, boom, their name. If they have, so list their therapist. Sometimes this information, we're having a little bit of turnover here and there. So just make sure that this information is correct, making sure their right work cell number is there. You know what I'm saying? SA specialist, the QP, the peer support specialist. Some people have 2 QPs, they're really lucky. In this section though, a lot of times we have the therapist listed, but honestly, best practice is to have a natural support if possible. For these 2 up here, and then this section, of course, we'll do the therapist or another clinician on the team will of course do the debriefing. But who's the primary contact to coordinate? Who would visit the individual? If you can, if it's possible, if they have the supports in place, that should be their natural support. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does.
At the very minimum, somewhere, now usually this is tasked with the peer support because they're actually trained in it. They should be doing a wellness recovery action plan. You will find that use of the wellness recovery action plan will assist you regarding mood stabilization and keeping them regarding stable to some degree. It's always a great talking point regarding wellness. So if you haven't heard about the Wellness Recovery Action Plan, please Google it. Please coordinate with Lakeisha. If you want to do the Wellness Recovery Action Plan with the client, she'll give you the little packets that go with it. Is anyone here not familiar with the Wellness Recovery Action Plan? And if you've done anything else with it, like an individual behavior plan, which is usually only done with children, suicide prevention and intervention plan. I don't even know what that would be, because that seems like that would be your crisis plan, but maybe it's a more intense plan. If they did a PAD, a psychiatric advance directive, put that information in there. If they have a living will, put that in there. And then, of course, when the last page, when it says this page that Tavon was talking about. Tavon, your question.
So I guess when we were doing those updates, I think Monique probably, is it Monique or Monica, kind of touched on this in terms of leaving like the last revision there and just hitting update and then adding on the additional changes. I find that one has been probably the biggest struggle with really trying to, make sure there's something different there, when a lot of times it may still be the same information.
And that's fine, but we can go into more details. Let's say, like in this one, Bailey enjoys doing landscaping work and spending time with his girlfriend. Bailey feels calm and secure with people he is close to. Let's just say that was the original update. So then your update, the original declaration. So your update might be, well, one, it says, what's the question? What am I like when I am feeling well? Are these the only attributes about Bailey when he is feeling well? When Bailey is well, does he not brush his teeth? Does he not attend to his ADLs? If he has a job, does he not go to the job? If he at the job, does he not get along well with his manager and coworkers? If he's spending time with his girlfriend, is he not taking her out on dates? Is he not, being complimentary to her? Is he not brushing her hair or washing her hair because she loves it when he rubs her fingers through her hair and like, oh, these suds, these bubbles. Oh, yes, yes, yes. Okay. We have a more expansive snapshot of that person, especially if we've been working with him as a team for 90 days. When Bailey feels calm and secure when people are close to, what does calm look like? You know what I'm saying? If he has a dog, does he walk his dog? If he has medication compliance? Because these are things that he is like when he is feeling well. Though this is an okay snapshot, the snapshot could be so much bigger, because when you're feeling well, do you not go to work? Do you not brush your teeth? Do you not wash? Do you not brush your, you know what I'm saying? Do you not get along with others? Do you not call your mom daily? Do you not do this? Do you not do that? You know what I'm saying, Tavon?
Yes, yeah.
Now, the tricky part is what are some events or situations that have caused me trouble in the past? So that's the triggers. Now, that is trickier to update. But with that, your observations might have seen that person trigger. So you might be able to give a detail. When Billy Bob comes in and steals his crack pipe, Bailey gets extremely angry and starts verbally assaulting him. You know what I'm saying? You give an expansive snapshot of a detail of that trigger or that interaction. We might, with this one, we might say housing instability. We might expand on it, saying that, Bailey lives with his mom, but that it might be at risk of losing that because of his attitude or his behaviors or negative peers. We might talk about people that he plays basketball with, but he also drinks or does drugs with. These might be female peers or male peers. It might be the areas in which he's doing these types of activities. We say alcohol and cannabis cravings. We might list his frequency when he is triggered or what causes him to have those cravings. Is it TV? Is it peer associations? Is it mood instabilization? When he's feeling alone, is it because he's not addressing his wellness? Is he not doing the things that it takes to be involved or engaged in other activities in order to not feel that way? What is his alone attributed to? If he has social conflict, what is that? Social conflict is he's playing a basketball game and somebody snaps on his Nikes and then he gets upset and he wants to fight them. These are expansions. Hallucinations. What type of hallucinations? Audio hallucinations. What is he hearing? Are they command? What are they saying to him? Does that make sense?
It does.
What are the early warning signs? Yeah, this is a good snapshot of the early warning signs. But then we need to say in detail what the decompensation is. What does increased substance use look like? He smokes marijuana this many times, or this attributes, or he does this amount of money of marijuana. He has sleep and appetite fluctuations? Does it mean he sleeps more? Does he sleep less? Does he tend to sleep more sometimes, 2 to 3 hours, or tends to sleep 10 to 12 hours, therefore missing important appointments, etc., etc.? Impulsive aggression, what does that look like? Is it verbal towards his mom or his dad, or is it verbal towards his peers? Is it physical with the same people? This is an expansion. And how can others help him? An adequate snapshot, but we know, let's have the team come help him. Let's have his natural supports can help him. If he has a girlfriend, he has a girlfriend. How can his girlfriend assist? You know what I'm saying? Once he has a wellness recovery action plan, boom. What is on there that can assist, right?
I'll say too, I think my perception of this page, it will reflect what initial contact is, because that consumer is going to be real short and brief. And then when we're applying for reauthorization, we'll be able to show more. Does that make sense?
Okay.
As far as our observation as well, because again, the consumers ain't going to just blurb everything out right out the gate when you first meet with them. So this page allows you to show, for reauthorization purposes, what the initial was and what the revisions are noted each time you meet with that consumer.
Okay, got it.
All right, good question, Tavon. Anyone else? No question is a dumb question, I assure you. The only dumb question is what? The one not asked. And looking at that PCP, looks like I left something off, Monique. I might need you to send me that back. Yeah, I don't have that bottom section.
What you just say, Felipe?
I said, looks like I'm trying to see if I uploaded it. Looks like, I don't know, looks like I messed up the PCP. I'm trying to see if that bottom section there, looks like that bottom section on the third page ain't present. Oh, it isn't. Look at your copy and see if you have that bottom section. And if not, and if so, please send that, because it's not in the one I uploaded. That part right there. Oh, you can't see it right now. On the third page of the CCP where it says, if I'm in a crisis, blah, 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 mine is blank.
And I'll say too, that piece that says, if I'm in a crisis, list everybody that you can contact for that consumer. Natural supports, family, whatever. The preferred hospital, preferred provider, whoever, whatever that consumer, because you want that to be in place for when Alliance looks at it and they see that that is completely filled in.
But doesn't it have to be, it states something like in the order of how the client wants the person to be contacted?
Yeah, I mean, you're going to have to make sure you got the consents, authorization of release to contact those people on file anyway. But you definitely want to put, okay, so if a consumer's in crisis, listening to music helps calm them. Put that in there. If a consumer is in crisis, going for walks, you can put that in there. But you want to list natural or family supports as well, because the consumer might be unconscious.
Right, so that's why we do it before they go unconscious. But I'm saying in the order of importance to the client.
Right, right.
I got it, Monique. Don't worry about it. I found it.
Yeah, I was gonna say it came through. I was just gonna forward you the document again.
I got it. Any other questions, concerns, or issues? Let me tell y'all something real quick before I let y'all go, or before y'all leave, or whatever. For those of you who completed the IMR part 2, that means that you are completely certified to do IMR, and it should be implemented in your documentation. You'll be
How long does that take? Is it 6 hours?
It don't take 6 hours, but it's worth 6 hours.
Cause I've been trying to complete it, but.
And we
it
have
seem
no
like it's
evidence.
endless.
We have no evidence to support that, Anthony.
I got evidence.
I'm like Anthony, by the time we do every other thing, it's like.
You know what I'm saying? It's just like, it's an
It's a lot.
endless train.
Remember, Aaron said if you're doing it that week, what do? You get an hour reduction.
It's definitely more than 6 hours. When you want us to watch
Got
your
to be.
She didn't tell
videos,
us that. Who did she tell? I'm sorry, Monique, but I didn't hear that. I'll do it. She give me some hours off. Shoot.
yeah, we need more than what they gave us because it takes more than 6 hours if we are really going through the videos. I mean, there was at least 2 videos that were 45 minutes long, so it's definitely more than 6 hours.
Is that what you're telling me, Monique? You think I should ask the board for more hours?
Absolutely. Well, I'm talking about for us, as you know, through the week getting our hours reduced because
Right.
it takes more than 6 physical hours to actually go through the.
Half our job is riding up and down the highway trying to get to the clients.
But you, let me get it right.
Well,
She only
York,
giving
for the
us
counties
an
you
hour for
cover,
the training?
I didn't say that. I said a reduction in hours. Some people said they got 3 hours.
I completed it, and that week that I did complete it, I received a reduction. I can't remember. I think it was only a 3-hour reduction.
That's a damn shame.
Maybe 6, but I doubt it. Either way, it took more than 6 hours to do. But just ask. I requested it through Tori, and I think Tori let Aaron know.
Yes, I need to finish it.
Then I would ask Aaron and say it's a 6-hour training. It's more than a 6-hour training, but it's 6 CEUs. Ask Aaron directly.